Okay, now we got to work on our heads. So we got to figure out what the coil bind is on the spring. I'm going to go check that out. All our 4 spring packs there. Okay, we got to do is go put these in a vise and measure them. See what the distance across here is. Now, sometimes you can just catch the edge of the spring here and put a caliper on it. Other times you just use a 6-inch scale and kind of guess at it. They both work. So we'll take both. So we'll have both options. So we got to see what we're going to have for our installed heights here. That's what we're going to be calculating. All right, let's head on over here. Go over here to our vise. Right over there. Wipe off your table here where you're going to put all your clean parts. At least it helps to wipe everything off. Too low. So I'm going to lay everything right on top of here. If you lay your clean parts in dirty areas, everything becomes dirty again. And you no longer have clean parts. Alright, so we got a standard jaw vise here with smooth jaws on it so it doesn't damage anything. Wipe it down, make sure it's clean, and go ahead and put your collars in here. Now if you rotate the spring around until you're not on an area where it's no spring at, like here, you rotate around until you get an edge there and an edge here to measure. There's about 1/4 of a turn where you got edges to measure to pretty easily. So just rotate it until you get to the spot where you can measure it. Just go down and run it down until it goes coil bind. Don't have to force it, just go until it stops, and then you're there. Just take your caliper and measure it. We're at 838 and a half, 839. So that's our coil bind dimension. So we'll call it 840. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, that's your first one's 840. Now you can measure the next one. I'd be shocked if all these are the same. They usually vary. Sometimes 20, 30 thou. This one's 840. Right on the mud. So that was a thou and a half smaller. We're not working that close. We'll call it 840 all the way across. Now these are crane valve springs, which I have lots of them, like in hundreds. And I'm using sifting collars, which I don't have too many of. These are real sifting, not the V-twin Taiwan sifting junk. It's a California made sifting stuff. Yeah, this one's 844, 845. So we gained 5 thou on this one. So that was a little bit fatter. Andrew springs come in about 860, 880 is common for them. Crane have a little bit smaller, shorter spring, so you can put them in a tighter spot. Or run more lift. This one's 840 and a half, 841. So we got 840, pretty much where we're at. This is 839, 840, we'll call that 841, this one's 845 to 846. It's 5 thou up. So there you go. Now you do, these three are all the same, so just got to worry about this one here being separate. You don't want to mix them up. So you want to keep this one set separate from the other three. So So use a different hand when you carry stuff. That's how you keep them being mixed up. Ooh, your finger on the way over. Alright, that light goes off. Back over here. So this is our oddball one. Goes there. The other three don't matter. Okay. So now we can figure out our install height. So you do that, you bring out your handy dandy calculator. Take your valve spring we just measured, 0.840. You add in 50 thou for coil bind clearance. That's your safety factor. And then you add in your cam lift. This is going to be 525 lift cams, 0.525 equals our installed height minimum is 1.415, 415. So the other one's going to be 420, the oddball one. So 415 is what we're looking for. Now if you want to get maximum spring tension, you put them in at that. If you want to just back it up a little bit to be safer, you can back it up as much as you want. You can pull it back 50 thou if you want. It won't make a major difference in valve spring tension. It'll drop you about 20 pounds. That's all it really drops it. Probably about 10 on the seat, maybe 15 on the outside. You're not making a huge difference. But it does add up. Okay, now we got to measure our heads. One of these heads was deeper than the other. I mean, not as deep. So let's find our worst one. So all you do is you take a measurement and you go from the collar, where the collar sits here, to somewhere on the valve guide. I mean on the valve. And let's see if we can find our shortest one. So this one's about 875. I'm just measuring right at the top of the collar here, or the keeper groove. So this one's 410. So the front exhaust is going to get the crappy spring. This one here is about 395, 400. That would be the other exhaust. And this intake here is about 390. Okay, so these two are about equal. This one here is sunk way down. This one's our shortest one. So the front head has the shortest intake. So that's what we're going to use for our first measurement. And this is our worst valve over here, which just happens to be on the same head. So we're going to be putting the one here that's just by itself goes on that one. So what I do is I lay everything out on my table, how I assemble things. So front head always goes here, rear head goes over here, exhaust are on the outside, intake in the middle. So I just lay everything out. So this is going to be our exhaust, our worst one. This is our worst spring, so everything goes over here. Just lay it on the table. It's good. These ones don't matter, they're all the same. So you start laying those out over there like that. It doesn't matter the order on these. So as long as nobody comes in and mixes up my stuff, I know exactly which parts go into which motor. Now the valves have an R and an F on them if they're not rubbed off yet. A lot of these are rubbed off. So when you pull them out of the motor, you just put them in exactly the same spot where they go. Like this. And everything's laid out. So you know exactly where all those parts go. Pretty simple. The keepers. We don't know where our valve keepers are going to go yet, so after we do our checking, we'll put the shims and the keepers for each stack and we'll line them all up. Then we'll go to assemble, we know where everything is at. Next thing I want to do, I'll take the intake valve. We want to make sure that the valve, the collar, and the keepers match each other. These are Harley keepers, sifting valve collar, and kibble white valve. They should match up pretty good. They match really good. Look, the collar stayed put. It actually hooks in. No clearance. See, old parts fit. New parts don't fit. You'd be amazed how many collars and keepers I get now come in that are loose. They actually have about this much clearance, and they go back and forth about this far. Oops, get down here, you can see better. They have about this much rock in them. You know, it looks like a ding-dong bell going down here. And don't be surprised if they don't fall out, because they do. That's what happens when you got mismatched components, and that's a big problem right now, believe me. So whenever you get a swap meet, keep an eye out for stock collars and keepers, because they work. The other stuff out there, it don't work too good. Okay, so we know these fit because they're sifting and they're made correctly, so we're good. I like that part. Okay, now I'm going to take this here, take our lower collar, stick it on top of our valve guide head here. Get down here. Now this lower collar has an actual step that catches on the valve guide, which keeps the valve guide in. It also centers the guide so it doesn't rattle. Now the collars he had in there before, with these 82 and later collars, and see they just have a big ass hole in them. They sit right on top of the head, and they don't do anything for keeping the guide from moving. These give you more valve install clearance, so you can put a bigger cam up though. It also allows you to put the seal on there and then put these on there after the seal's on. Those, whatever you do, when you put the seal on, it's locked on, it ain't coming off. Unless you destroy it. The disadvantage of one sitting on directly on the head is, on a late head, they're machined flat. These are late heads. Early heads, they're not machined here. So if you use that collar on an early head, it rocks all over the place. It doesn't line up, and that will break a spring. It ain't happy. So, plus the next thing is you put all that heat from laying on the aluminum, which is basically exhaust port. It heat soaks the spring. If it's up off the top here and you get a little oil underneath, it actually cools the spring. The spring runs cooler. Cooler springs live longer. The older stuff, like most things, tends to work better for most applications. It's only when you get really high lift stuff you have a problem. Then you gotta do what you gotta do. Okay, so I can put a little checking spring in here, which you gotta find. This is a checking spring. I'm gonna need 2 of them. Okay, these are just 2 different springs I got that work. Okay, so basically take the spring, stick it on top of the lower collar. You take your upper collar and assemble it just by pushing down with your fingers. It's a light spring. And then put your keepers on there. I'm already mixing and matching components. I'm being a dumbass. Wrong pair. I grabbed the exhaust stuff. We don't know if the difference in the spring is in the collars or in the spring. So you want to make sure you don't mix them. Okay, pull up on that, rotate a little bit, make sure it's all the way in. Okay, now you can take it and measure. I just use my 6-inch scale. Measure your install height. It's a direct reading. Okay, this one here is about 415 it looks like. You can also take your caliper and measure it. You gotta be careful, you can make it bigger by mistake. Okay, and it looks like about the same thing, 415. Looks like the problem with the caliper is if you rock, if this is a little bit loose here, it'll rock, you can get a false reading. So you gotta be careful. Even this here, you gotta make sure the spring is evenly pushing against the collar to get that number. Okay, so if you look at the camera, I don't know if it'll show it, but anyway, we're 415, which just happens to be the minimum number we needed, remember? So that one is right on the money. Okay, this other one is a lot deeper. Now this one we need 420, is what we need for a dimension. And this valve was sunk a lot deeper. So I can take a 15 thou shim and throw on there right now. row valve shims that's not available anymore, except I have them. Okay, you take the shim right here, stick it in there. Now this you got to be real careful with, because it has to fit inside of here. If you notice, this one does not fit in there very well. It doesn't fit in there at all, actually. So this here is smaller than this. It doesn't fit. The other problem is this is made for a 74-inch guide, so it doesn't fit over the 80-inch guide either. Right here, it doesn't fit. So these don't work. These are 74-inch. They don't fly. So you can't use these ones. So you go to another manufacturer, which you can still buy these days. These are 30 thou, not 15. But these have the same problem. They don't fit over the guide. Ain't no guide fit. So you cannot use this style shim on 80-inch heads. They don't fit. So now we go to the next style shim. It's like an automotive shim. This goes between the collar and the head. It does not sit on the guide. The other version that you have to use. Here's some real ones again. They're stainless. These feel thin. See if they're 15 thou. 15 and a half thou. That's close enough. Okay, now these sit on top of the head. And you have to make sure it clears the guide completely. It sits directly on the head. It does. Now obviously this collar will not sit on top of the guide now. It'll sit on top of the head. We don't have much choice. So, well, we got choice. Just leave it out. Oh well. Except this is a high RPM motor, and he's going to run the piss out of it. So even though he says he won't, I don't believe him. As soon as that thing comes up on the cam in low gear, you're gonna go through them RPM so fast, you won't know what RPM you're turning it. I guarantee you. That's how it works. Okay, now we got that one on there. Now we measure it. See where we're at. Appears we're too tight. Looks like it's 400. Ew. I'm getting 390. Even though this thing measures that was too tall, it isn't. It's going to be too short. Have to make clearance. That's not how it's supposed to be on this one. Remember, we got the bad spring on this one. I'm going to have to swap it out for a good one. Now when you put tension on these, you usually gain a little bit on clearance. You'll gain about 5 to 10 because it actually sucks up in the taper a little bit. So whatever you put these in right now, it usually gains a little bit. But not always. You never know for sure. Okay, this one looks like about 415 now. It's not measuring that though. Measures 400. Sure looks like it's worn out to me. Yeah, it's definitely more than 400. So we're at 404, 405. So we're short 15 thou on this one. Even if we change it to spring, we're short. So this one here we're going to have to do something different about. So obviously we got some issues with that one. The first issue is I'm going to put a different spring over here. I'm going to swap it with the other set. the other exhaust valve. Try it again. Try a different set of keepers also. Maybe that'll make a difference. You never know what you gain or lose, depending on which way you're trying to go. Okay. Actually, they got worse, not better. Definitely got worse. 390. Okay, so those, is that the keeper, collar, or a mixture of both? I don't know. Pull back the other keepers we just used before. Put those over here. Ah, dumbass. At least we gained back to our 400 number. Except when you measure it, you don't get that again. Yep, right at 400. So we're at 400. So the net gain was nothing. Still looks like we got 5 in there in a minute. It doesn't measure that. So either way, we got the same 5 issue we don't have before. So let's try the other spring again. See if I can gain that clearance I need. We're back to 5 again. Yep. Back to 5. Okay, we're still 15 short no matter what we're doing. So I need to pick up 15 more someplace. So we got to work on that one a little bit. Alright, so we're going to come back to this head here in a couple minutes. Let's go to this head and see what kind of problems we're going to have with this one. Okay, let's do the exhaust. The exhaust I thought was going to be the easy one, but it's going to be the hard one. I need some more checking springs. Okay. Running out of checking springs. I don't know if this will fit on there. Yep, it fit. Good. Okay. Needs to have more tension on this set of springs. Some more pressure to hold it back. Here's the difference. Okay. Yeah, that's a little short also. About the 405 number again. So the 2 exhausts we got to work on. Let's see if the intake's going to help us. I thought the exhaust could have a ton of clearance. Guess the one's giving us the headaches now. If I knew that in the head machine, I would have sunk them deeper. I sunk the intakes deeper for clearance, but the exhausts I thought were loose. But it appears that was not the case. Okay. Okay, we definitely got the 15. Oh yeah, we got 24 on this one. Alright, so this one got a buco clearance. So if I take this one here and swap it with the 15, that was this one over here. Damn, it got worse. It got worse. Dirty. 27. There's the intake, exhaust, do a flip on those two. Okay, I put the bad spring over there. Let's see if we gained anything or lost anything on this one. And this has a heavier spring on it now too. Checking spring. Alright. See if we lost gain or no change. Yeah, we gained about 2 thou. At most. Okay, well notice now it's got the same spring as the other one, at 415. We're at 400 on that one. And I think that's about where we were on this one, weren't we? Yeah, these are both 400. Okay, so both the exhaust valves are equal now. We're short 15 thou. So we need to gain 15 somehow. That's a bunch to gain. Now, okay, looks like we're about 110 deep. To 100. Starting to measure the depth on a caliper and be accurate. Looks like we're 100 thou on that side. 101 on that side, so about 100 thou deep. How deep is our collar over here? I think we're about 50. Okay, so we got a lot of cutting we can do. Okay, so we can cut our 15 thou off this lower collar, and we'll get the number we want. So I gotta do that on both of these. And that will give us the clearance we need to make all this work. Hopefully. Of course we don't know that for sure, but we'll go give it a try. We're definitely not going to be using this shims on this thing. Okay, so we're going to take our caliper, this, and this, and go in this direction. Okay, we don't need no stupid shims, so keep them away. Go over here and do some heavy duty cutting over here with a lathe. It's dark over here. How'd that happen? Okay, so we're going to put this in the lathe, chuck it up off of that lip right here, and we're going to shave off 15 thou right off of that. And that should do what we need. Okay, you put your indicator right here against the back of the carriage down here. That way you know where you're at. Alright, there's 0. Now we just go ahead and take a cut. Blow it off over here. Kind of see a little bit. Not much though. There's 5 thou. Right there. They're heat treated, but not real hard. So I'm going to see what we got. Okay, so I'm going to measure when it wasn't uncut. 78 thou, so we need to take 15 off of that. So that'll put us down at 63 or 2 or something like that. We're at 65 right now. So I wouldn't have a problem if we went all the way down to 60. So you got to cut about another 3 more off. The first cut didn't feel like it cut much metal off, but it didn't. Should do on the dial. Okay, we're still getting the same number. 63, 64. This one was at 82. Varies a little bit depending on where you're at. What you can do, what you can do if you want to know where you're at, and you don't want to do math in your head, you can zero out to your caliper right here. And you take the one you already cut, you go like that. You say you cut 17.5 thousandths off. 18, 17. We needed 15, so you got a couple extra. So that's what's nice, when you got this floating 0. It makes it easier to figure out stuff like that. Okay, so now we got a number to go to. We did 1. We cut it the same dimension, we should come up with the same number. Repeated. One more. These are probably about 35 to 38 Rockwell. Hard, but not too hard. A lot of Harley stuff, it goes over 50 Rockwell. Doesn't want to cut it all. Okay. So what happened? Where's that minus 16? What the hell happened there? Oh, minus. Oh, that was our clearance. Duh. Okay. Okay, so this one here didn't cut quite the same. About a thou less. I don't want to give up that thou though. I like that thou. There we go. Now they're both 17, 17 and a half. There you go. Within a half a thou, ain't bad. Alright, so once you got your setup made, it goes pretty easy. You can duplicate. Okay. I'm going to leave it here just in case I got to come back, but I don't think we need to come back. I think it's good to go. I can live with these numbers. Gonna make a pit stop right here. Get all the chips off. Blow them off me too. Now make sure you turn your caliper off so it resets itself. There you go. Don't want to be wrong. When you use that floating zero, you can get yourself in trouble too. So. Okay, now these ones should come out a few thou extra. Let's find out. So this is use a lighter spring on this one. And all this stuff we're doing right now is if you didn't do it on your bike, when you put the thing together and ran it, you start breaking rock arms and stuff like that because you're coil bound. That'd be a problem. That's why you check all this crap. It does matter. Okay, so right now we are at 419, give or take a little bit. 415. I'm going to call it 414. Let me rotate the collar here a little bit and see if we come up with the same number. Why is it so high? We're at 415 now. Right there. Okay, so there's our number we wanted. Remember, we swapped that spring out for the other one, so we only need 415, not 420. So don't comment back that I did it wrong. You weren't paying attention. That's definitely the heavy one. It's easily double the tension of the other spring. Oop. Fill up. Come on, keeper, get in there. Now that one fill out. Start over. Yeah. And no, I'm not putting grease on my keeper grooves. Don't need to if you do it right. Just makes for a messy job when you got grease all over everything. Okay. There we go, 416.5, perfect. Alright, so these are all set. I'll go back over here and measure our intake. This is the one I think that went to 20. Yep, we're at 26 now. This one need to be at 20. So we got 5 thou extra. So theoretically we got to put 5 thou shim in that one, but I ain't doing that. That's stupid. 5 thou ain't gonna make no damn difference for anybody. And this one here is at 18. So this was 3 thou up on this one, so we're good. Okay, so our installed heights are all where they need to be. And no shimming, but we did do some cutting. So there you go. So we're maximizing our heads here. We didn't have any extra clearances built in. Alright, so now I'm going to work on our rocker arms and check our fitment. So that'll be next. I'll be back.